The Minnesota Vikings draft Lewis Cine, free safety out of Georgia, with the 32nd pick in this year's draft. First off, let's. I just want to give a little disclaimer for a lot of you guys. When you come into this podcast, when you come into this YouTube show, when you come into this show, do not expect to see your typical everything's optimistic, everything's great. We're here to have a good time. We're not Good Morning Football. We're Morning Kickoff. We're a little biased. Yes, we're a little pessimistic. We're not here to get all you guys' hopes up. We're going to be real here. Okay, first off, I just want to say with this Lewis Cine pick for the Minnesota Vikings, they picked Lewis Cine 32nd overall out of Georgia, the speedster, hard-hitting safety. Definitely worth the 32nd overall pick. Now, him being a safety, obviously, his tanked his draft stock a little bit. If he was more hybrid of a position, maybe he would be a more corner. That would completely change the story with him. So I do believe Lewis Cine is a good draft pick with the 32nd overall pick who can step in day one onto our defense. His problem is in coverage, and obviously with his speed, with his hard-hitting tackling, he's probably going to work in the league. And I see what Kwesi is doing here. I completely see what he's doing here. He's taking a player who he knows is going to work in the league. This is Kwesi's first draft pick. This is his introduction into being a GM, and it's likely going to work. We're going to look back at this draft pick, and my prediction is that it does work, and it's a good look for Kwesi. Now, that aside, real quick. Yes, like I said, we're going to be real, completely real here, and all respect to Lewis Cine. I do believe he's worth a 32nd overall draft pick. I believe everything else the Minnesota Vikings did in the first day of the draft was completely an utter idiot. Look at what Kwesi did here. Kwesi, with the 12th overall draft pick, he had many options with the 12th overall draft pick, who to bring in, who to trade down for, what to get from this trade. And what did he do? He took Jameson Williams, wide receiver of Alabama, the best deep threat in this draft class, the fastest player in this draft class, who's going to be 100% coming off of this ACL injury, and said, Dan Campbell, Detroit Lions, division rival, you guys can have him. We don't want him. Why would we want the best deep threat in this class? Why would we want an all-around outstanding wideout from Alabama to come onto our team? And we completely handed him to Dan Campbell. We handed him to the Detroit Lions, who we have to play twice a year. This is what Kwesi did. This was his first move in the draft, was giving arguably the best wide receiver in this draft class to a division rival. That was absolutely stupid, and it blows my mind. If you made a trade with someone in the AFC, fine. You can give Jameson Williams to the AFC. Completely fine with that. But you're giving a player like Jameson Williams to the Detroit Lions, a player who's expected now is almost fully recovered from his ACL injury, and is, if it wasn't for the ACL injury, would likely have been a top 10 pick, and now you're handing him to the division rival? I was so happy. I was so happy going into this draft knowing for once we don't have a great wide receiver in our division. Allen Robinson's out of Chicago. Devontae Adams out of Green Bay. Us not having a great corner is fine because we don't have a wide receiver like Jameson Williams to work with. Now, obviously, assuming that he works in the league, given we could have taken Jameson Williams with this pick. Going into the press conference with Kwesi after the draft, Kwesi said, if we didn't make this trade with Detroit, then someone else would have, and Detroit would have traded up to take Jameson Williams. That's not the case. We could have taken Jameson Williams. Are we just going to sit here and act like we don't need a wide receiver? Are we going to sit here and act like, obviously, looking right now, we might not completely need a wide receiver. It's not our top 3 biggest need, but when you have a player like Jameson Williams, who's easily the best player available to come onto your team, and you completely miss. And if you did not decide to take Williams, fine. You had Kyle Hamilton on the board. You had so many players on the board who you can plug in as starters and make an immediate impact in the league. You really chose Lewis Cine from Georgia over Kyle Hamilton. The do-it-all safety, the pass-rushing safety, the hard-hitting safety, the safety that could have that at the next level made an immediate impact and been that big of a difference on our defense, on the secondary that desperately needed help. Yes, I don't believe the Vikings should have taken a corner with the 12th pick, and I'm fine with them deciding to trade down, but not with the Detroit Lions, handing the Detroit Lions Jameson Williams. And what did you get out of this trade? What did Kwesi and the Minnesota Vikings get out of this trade? I'm fine with us trading down. Not with the Lions. But what did we get out of this trade? A 3rd round draft pick. The Minnesota Vikings traded down, 22 spots in this draft, in the 1st round of this draft, and got a 3rd round draft pick. Yes, we swapped 2nd round picks. Okay, we moved up 12 spots in the 2nd round. Okay, you can, fine. That's okay. But realistically, we got a 3rd round draft pick after we swapped our 2nd round draft picks. With this, Lewis Cine, yes, all respect to him. With all due respect to Lewis Cine, I would have much rather have stayed at that 12th pick, brought in Kyle Hamilton, brought in Jameson Williams, or traded down to somewhere in the middle round, and we can add someone to this defensive front. Maybe Devontae Wyatt, maybe Jordan Davis, maybe we can add Trent McDuffie. There was a lot of options Kwesi had here, and he made maybe the worst choice, in my opinion. It's not the fact that we traded down that I'm mad. It's the fact that we handed arguably the best wideout to a division rival. And we didn't have to. Now, what is our plan against Jameson Williams? Assuming that he's 100% by week 1, the best deep threat in this draft class. What is our plan? I don't know. We don't have a corner right now. Now, we do hold the 34th overall draft pick. We did swap 2nd rounders with the Detroit Lions, so we do hold that draft pick where we can bring in Andrew Booth, maybe swing on him, see if he can work at the next level. We do have a few options here, but with that being said, I am fine with Lewis Cine. I'm happy that he's coming to our team. Now, was he worth the 32nd overall draft pick? You can say it's a little bit of an overdraft. At the end of the day, the guy is a complete monster, and him stepping onto our defense will make an immediate impact. Him being alongside Harrison Smith and having Ed Donatel coach him up will help him develop. And I do believe that when we look back at this draft, we will say that this was a solid draft pick. But when we also look back at this draft, we will say that the trade with Detroit will go down as one of the worst trades in this franchise history.